Now I'm sanding out all the filler on the Trikeabout and getting it to look pretty good. I got to go over it with some the regular Bondo to just fill little pits and stuff in the Duraglass. And I got the seat and the frame sanded out. The pulley, which is still drying, I spotted in those grind marks so they don't show. The belt cover, which is still wet, and this, which I primed a couple of days ago. So I got that to sand. I still got a lot of sanding and work to do, but I'm just, like I say, I'm just showing you as I go what I'm doing here. All right, let me get I want to get some of this regular Bondo body filler mixed up, and I'll coat this stuff. I got to bead blast that. I think I might take this out and rough sand it. I'm doing my rough sanding outside, my little bit of hand sanding right here at the bench, because I can clean it up with my little vacuum so I don't make a mess everywhere. All this stuff is sanded out, and I'm about to put some Bondo. This is what I'm going to put on it now, just to fill in all the little nicks and stuff. It sanded out pretty easy. It wasn't that difficult. And anyway, we'll get that on there and let it dry overnight, and then we'll sand it. One coat, the first coat of Bondo on there, and I'll sand. I put it on a lot of it because there's grind marks, and I want to get the grind marks hidden. And I'll sand that with some 80 grit, and then maybe with some 150. And I'll probably have to put one more coat on it, just, in case, just maybe not the whole thing, but a little here and there. Got that, the forks, handlebar, all the stuff. These, I think, are pretty much all ready to sand out for paint. But, yeah, my Bondo kept going hard on me, so I ended up mixing quite a few batches there. And I try and only mix a little at a time, because I know it's going to go hard on me like that. I try and break the sharp edges off, and I just did it all with my finger and with a rubber glove, and just trying to get it, like I say, to cover all the grind marks and stuff. So I'll give that tomorrow or the next day. I'll give that all a good sand out and do a little video for you and see where we go from there. Turned out to be a nice morning. They're predicting rain, but anyway, the sun's been out and it's been nice, so I sanded all the filler out. I got a couple two or three little spots. I got a little nick in the weld that shows right there, and I got a couple little pits in the filler right here. And I got to add a little bit there and there, so I'm going to do that. Go in and have lunch, and then need to sand a little bit more right there, it looks like. And then I'm going to come out and sand that, and then I'm going to 150 it and metal etch prime it, hopefully before it clouds over and starts raining. I think they're predicting rain the next couple days, and then some snow, and then it's going to turn back nice again. So it'd be nice to get it in a metal or sandable primer, so I can just sand it out and paint it. I'm going to paint the frame separate from everything else, because by the time I get done spraying this and refill the gun, it's going to be ready for a second coat. So this will get painted, and then I'll paint all the little itty bitty extra pieces. All right, let me get a little filler mixed up and in there, and then get that sanded out. Got some crocus in bloom. They've been popping up through the snow. Things are starting to come up. Still got some snow though. That should be gone before the day's out. Was out about here when I started, so quite a bit has melted just in today. That is ready for sandable primer. That was a lot of sanding. I spent the whole day just sanding this. I started probably about 11 o'clock in the morning sanding, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon now, so about 5 hours and a couple coats of filler here and there. That was one coat of Bondo over one coat of Marglass, but I had to go around and just touch up some of the filler in a few spots. And so now I'm gonna spray it with some filler primer, and that will be ready to sand out for some paint. I got it in sandable primer. It looks really good. I had one spot here I missed completely where I had welded that thing on for the engine that I decided not to use anyway. That'll take me 10 minutes to sand that out, and then I'll re-prime it with the sandable primer. But yeah, that's going to look really nice. Once this is all, I got to sand that primer out. I'll do it with some 400, and then that'll hide all the sanding scratches and whatnot. And I got the handlebar controls and those done. I put a second coat of, sanded this out, put a little more filler on it, and I'll let that dry overnight, and then we'll give that a final sand the next nice day we get, and everything should be getting close to being ready for paint, I hope. It's, the paint's kind of the end of the project though, so that's kind of a bummer, but I still got this it's supposed to be a rainy day tomorrow, so maybe I'll work on this and get some of these other things ready for paint. I just finished all the body work on the forks and wanted to make sure that they still fit and that they look nice, and they do. And I'm going to call that good. The back part there where I sanded some filler, I primed. I'm not going to go around and fix all of there's some little, marks, creases, so to speak, where when the Murray, who built this Sears tricycle, bent this tubing, it left an indent, a bump, indent, bump, indent, bump. And I'm not going to fix those because that's part of the way it was manufactured. I know I over-restore a lot of things, and this is actually a little customized, but I want to leave some of the manufacturing quirks from when this tricycle was built in it, and that is one of them. So that is going to just be left there, but it's ready to give a 400 sand and paint, I think. And I'm going to give this some sandable primer, so that'll be ready for some 400 sand, and hopefully we'll get some nice weather soon to where I can shoot some paint onto it. And again, I'll give the sandable primer a little shake in the paint shaker here. Before I bead blast the fender, I just wanted to make sure I had the printout of the graphics right, because I'm going to print this, or actually on a vinyl cutter. It's like a printer that cuts vinyl, and I can put some vinyl with an adhesive back in it, and then I can make it so it just cuts out what's black on here, and then I can stick it on here. I'll obviously leave more, won't trim it so close. I only trim this close just to make sure that the graphics were correct before I sandblast the fender, but bead blast it. But I just wanted to, and then the vinyl the adhesive vinyl will be cut out here, and then I can just mask it with some masking tape and paper on the edges, and then I'll paint what you see as black and green on the cream fender. I was thinking of doing that for the Trikeabout in red on here, but I'd have to buy another quart of red or some red acrylic enamel. I don't have any in the basement. I looked, and it's kind of expensive, so what I might do is spray some scrap with some of the cream, and then try some red Rust-Oleum spray can or something on the paint, and if it doesn't react and if it sticks and looks good, I might just paint the red with stencils, like a negative, so to speak. But otherwise, I'm going to have the vinyl cutter just cut the letters out in the font that, if you look at REO mowers with runabout, I'll put a little picture of a REO mower runabout decal here so you can see what I'm talking about. But I want it to say Trikeabout right here and red. And there's some, a few other things on there I want to say REO and whatnot. So I think those might be vinyl stick-on letters. I'm not really sure. I don't want, like I say, I don't want to buy a quart of paint, but these are a good match to the original paint on the fender, so I have that file now, so I can bead blast the fender and don't need to worry about saving it to get this off. you know, for the pattern, because I want to replicate that. You know, I want to keep some of those. It's a Sears tricycle, mid-50s Sears tricycle, and I made by Murray, and I want to try and keep some of that 50s Sears tricycle look to it, but yet I want to still have it have that REO built lawnmower look to it. So anyway, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now I'm just rambling on. So anyway, I'm ready to throw this in the blast cabinet. I might do a little bumping on it first. There's a little dent right here, and overall it's in pretty good shape. It just basically needs bead blasting and repainting. I don't think I'm going to put any tacks in it. I played with it a little bit, and all the spot welds are super solid. I think once it's bolted here and here to the forks, which are hanging up there now, I think that'll help reduce the vibration. And I didn't show you guys video, but before I tore this thing all apart, I rode it around the driveway and the house and the neighbors and stuff for about half hour, 45 minutes in the snow and rain. Yeah, with all the bare metal, I was out there riding it in the rain and snow, but you know, I just brought it in and dried it off, and I knew I was going to be sanding it to paint it, so I wasn't, you know, it didn't get any surface rust on it anyway. But I wanted to make sure it was all in good working order before I tore it apart to paint it. My neighbor even commented. I went out to dinner with him a couple nights later with a couple of my neighbors, and he was commenting, "What the heck is that thing? I saw you riding around in the snow and rain." He's like, "You're crazy." And I told him what it was. He just got a big kick out of it. So anyway, we'll get this thing bead blasted clean and start getting it ready for paint. One of the things I'm doing before I paint it is I'm knocking out these cheesy Harbor Freight bearings. You can see they're kind of, see how loose and wobbly they are in there, and it causes the wheel to wobble all over. And I got these really nice bearings for mini bike wheels, and so I'm going to use them. I got to take that little steel ring off, and then I can just pound them right in, and we'll be all set. I'm just taking a punch and a hammer to knock them out. This one I just set in the vise. This one, seeing it has those nuts on it, I'm just going to set it like that, and we'll get them out. We'll put new bearings in, and while the bearing's out, I'm going to bead blast this, and then I'll put the new bearings in to paint. Got the nice new bearings in there. Wow, is that nice not having loose, wobbly, cheap bearings. So they're in both wheels. The wheels I'm just going to set like that and paint. I'm not going to paint this side because that's the tire side, and you really don't see any of the wheel whatsoever on this thing. So really, you know, all I did was bead blast them enough to rough the paint up, just so I'm not going to prime them or anything. I'm just going to spray the cream colored paint on the wheels just as they are, and that'll be good enough, because like I say, you can just see a little bit of this one through the rotor. These are going to be green. These are going to be cream. That and that are going to be green. Everything else pretty much will be green. I'm not going to bother with these weld marks because the REO letters, they can go over them. That'll give me a reference of center of wheel too, so for putting the decals on. So everything's basically, we're going to get this bead blast. I wipe this and this down with lacquer thinner. They're going to be green. I got to mask the braking surface off. I'll do that closer to when I'm ready to spray it. And this was the model number for the Sears tricycle. And I'm going to stamp that into this somewhere, maybe here or here. And then on the underside, I'm going to stamp Old Car Alley, February 23. And then I'll be ready to sand out. I just got to give it a 400 sand and give everything a 400 sand. I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow after I get back, I'll sand it out. And Tuesday's supposed to be a nice day. Maybe I'll try and paint some of the things, because it's going to be about 4 or 5 days before we get, you know, they're predicting a bunch of rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you know, rain, on and off rain. So need to get it while I can. So as you know, I'm going to paint that green where it was originally white, where it's oversprayed out. And I got these that I'm going to use when I print them out on like some adhesive vinyl or something that I can stick on there and then paint and then peel it off, so that green will be in paint. So I made measurements and marks of where the bottom is on everything, so that I know where to put the stripes when I go to paint them on. Painted some of the green today. Came out pretty good. I got a little bit of paint reaction on the big pulley, but that came out nice. That came out nice. The rotor came out nice, but this I'll just, when I paint other green like on the Fender, those stripes and stuff, I'll just give this a quick 400 sand and just shoot one coat of paint on it. It looks good, but yeah, I can see there must have been some oils or something in there. But we'll get that sanded out and fixed up. I painted some of the yellow too. I painted all the little bits because they in themselves took quite a while, and I laid the paint on in here one coat really heavy because I had to hold the fender in the palm of my hand to spray the inside of that, and I didn't want it to rust, and I wanted to get paint throughout it. So yeah, that's just one super heavy coat in there, and it looks really nice. And then I had a paint reaction right here, and so the final coat, yeah, I just laid it on really wet and it took care of it. It's got 3 coats on it. And then of course the things for the wheels and the handlebars, the controls, and this. Now I gotta paint the wheel. I'm gonna paint that green. I gotta paint the edge of this. That's gonna be green. I gotta paint that little funny little thing here that's in this round in here, which will be green. I'm gonna paint it all cream first, and then I'll mask it off. But when I paint the green here and here, and the green that I want to put on that, I'll paint the wheel and I'll sand this pulley because I had a paint reaction. I guess I should just really laid the paint on it like I did the fender, because that totally took care of it. This is dry to the touch, but that'll probably be about 4 or 5 days before I paint the green again. So I'll just sand that out with some 400 and just reshoot it. Got one little drip right there because I laid it on the inside here because you can see the inside. But all in all, oh, and I painted my Grinch that was on the wall over there. So that's REO green. I mean, the Grinch is green, right? It's upside down, obviously. That is coat number 1. I'm going to put 3 coats on it all total. Tubing's kind of a pain to spray. I'm using my little Badger 400 door jam gun on it again. But yeah, I'm trying to get it all painted underneath here too, so it doesn't rust. And in the seat underneath. Yeah, it's looking good. I forgot to start the video camera for the first coat. I'll start it for the second coat. looks pretty good for coat number 2. I'll let that dry about 15-20 minutes and put the final on. It's about 50 degrees out right now, and I'm using a fast drying reducer. It's absolutely perfect for painting. No bugs in the air, no very little breeze, enough just to keep the overspray out of my face. Trying to get all in there. All right, let me let that dry up a little bit, and like I say, we'll put the final coat on. This is acrylic enamel, so about 15 minutes between the first and second coat, and then I usually go about 20-30 minutes between the second and third, and then I'll do the final and let it dry for about a half an hour and put it inside. There we go, that is the final coat. Yeah, it came out really nice. The sun really makes the color pop. That's going to look so amazing with that green. So 50s color combination, that green and cream. That's what I was looking for, to make it look like a real lawnmower. You know, that engine's a 54. So this stuff's all mid-50s, so why not paint it like the lawnmower in the mid-50s color, in the red knob and the green here with the red REO, and you know, it's gonna, and that's edge there's gonna, that very bump edge is gonna be green. And then, as you remember, I'll put a little clip here of what that will look like, except it'll be in green. And like I say, instead of Sears on the front there, it's gonna say REO, and it's gonna say REO on the wheels like REO. And I'll put a little picture of that here of the wheels so you can see what I'm talking about, and that'll be in red. But yeah, I'm super happy. The knob for this is black. I'm going to paint it red too. I'm super happy with the way that looks. Came out nice. Got it all this painted in here underneath. I stamped the numbers on it too, though. The numbers for the tricycle Sears model numbers are stamped on several spots. I stamped them on this in a couple spots. There's one there. Anyway, I'm going to write on it with a Sharpie here when I'm done, so that you know, tells who built it and when. And the Trikeabout's going to be on the fender, is going to say Trikeabout like Runabout in the same font as Runabout on the lawnmower. And I'll put a little photo of that here too. And I taped the kill thing. Anyway, looking good. There we go, we got all the bits. That's dry to the touch. It's got 2 bugs in it, but like I say, it's dry to the touch, so I'll just flick off. It's warmed up enough, but yeah, those colors are gonna look amazing together. It's gonna look so good when it's assembled. Anyway, we got all the bits and pieces painted up, and I'm going to end this video here so you can kind of see, you know, what I'm doing. But there's going to be future painting, because I got to paint those. I gotta paint these in green, in case if you haven't watched all the videos. I did some measuring and marking. Whoops, this is the side. So this will go on about there, and the black will be in green. Whoops. And then this one will be up here. And again, the black will be in green, so that'll look nice. And the edge of the seat, like I say, and those things there, like I showed in the video, the paint there. There are 2 little runs right there. But I'm not, because I had to lay the paint on really heavy here because I was getting a paint reaction. And that fixed it up, and I'll just take some 600 and sand them off when it's hard. And then, you know, the REO emblems on, REO decals on these, and the stop, start, all that good stuff on these. But yeah, I just love this color combination. It's just going to look so good once it's assembled. It's very 50s. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here so you can see what's going on, and I'll do a video of when I paint the green. And I got to paint that wheel, and that wheel is going to be green too. So I'll paint that at the same time I paint the, and I'm going to repaint, just sand that out one side of it and respray it because it just has some, doesn't really show. You got to get the light just right. There, you can kind of see it there. So I'll sand that out and reshoot that. And everything else looks absolutely perfect. I got the inside of the fender really good. Everything looks nice. So anyway, like I say, I'm rambling on here. I'm going to end the video here. So if you like it, definitely hit the like button. If you like my channel, that 348 engine icon that powers the old 59 Bel Air there will subscribe you. And thank you for watching my video.